Welcome. My name is Jenny Kozlow, and I'm the director of the PREVIDA Foundation. I'm a veteran perinatal educator and the creator of the perinatal communication and pedagogy method. And I'm here to talk with you today about preparing for the reality of birth. We each have our own reality. It's difficult to tell you what reality you should have because it's totally your right to have your own. My interest is in trying to perceive of what you have based this reality on. Where does it come from, this vision you have about what to expect in birth? And if it is a vision that is balanced, or is it a vision that tends to be very idealistic or extremely grounded in every possible complication that can happen? And my role is to try and help you kind of reach a neutral zone, the middle space, because that's where most of life happens, not in the extreme. So that's one of my objectives as we have this short talk. Basically, I'm going to be giving you 3 points today because this is a short talk, but I'm going to focus on 3 recommendations that I have for you. I assume you're pregnant or will be pregnant, hoping to be pregnant, and you're watching this because you want to get some insight and some practical advice on how to have the best possible experience. So first of all, congratulations on your expecting a baby. The 3 points I'm going to be talking about mainly is know where you're at on this spectrum of the vision you have, how well grounded it is in the reality of what usually happens in birth. The second point I want to talk about is, of course, it's about you. Of course, it's about the father. Of course, it's about the baby, but it's not as much about you as you think. So I want to kind of free you from the burden of feeling that it's all your responsibility. And this isn't only for birth, it's also for parenthood. It'd be nice to bring back the joy in that experience. And sometimes we lose it because we're so burdened really by feeling that everything that isn't perfect is somehow because of something we've done wrong. So the guilt factor is something that doesn't help, and hopefully we can let go of that a bit. But the third point I also want to talk about is how extremely important the preparation period is. And this is where I'm going to say that we really do reap what we sow. Sometimes we're in a bit of denial. There's something that I call perinatal denial, where it's just too much to take in. So sometimes we bury our heads in the sand and think, well, if it's so natural, it'll happen anyway, and I'll just cross my fingers or pray or negotiate with God so that hopefully it goes well. Well, actually, we want you to do more than that. We want you to put on the table what you imagine birth to be and what you think your needs are, and give you really practical skills to be able to feel that you can participate actively. And because of that participation and because of those skills, the experience is going to be that much better. It really will be. So please take it seriously, the prenatal period. What I want to do to begin with is to ask you to get a piece of paper and write down the following things. So I'll give you a minute to do that. You can pause this if you'd like. And we usually don't know what questions to ask ourselves. If it's your first pregnancy, you're preparing for your first birth, oftentimes you'll go into a consultation with a professional, the OBGYN, the midwife, the doula, the perinatal educator, and you kind of don't know what to ask because you don't really have a reference point, and that's totally natural. But the more you prepare, the more you learn, the more you get information, then the best thing is that you go in with curiosity to know more and questions that are important to ask so that you can gauge if you're going in the right direction with the right professional uh, understanding what's really important for you and what maybe isn't so much, and then just using your energy in the right places. So on the piece of paper, please answer the following. Giving birth is... Some people will write a word, a sentence, many sentences. Giving birth is... And then the next thing I'd like you to answer is, what I most need to feel confident about birth is... And you might want to think of other experiences in your life when you were kind of confronting the unknown and your own fears and something that was very big and important in your life, and you didn't really know if you'd be able to get through it. And so what did you need then? What actually helped you in those moments? Think about that a bit. Or when we feel very vulnerable, maybe when we've been ill or recovering from something where we've had no choice but to accept that we're not in our strongest moment. You know, what was it that you needed during that time to kind of help you get through it? Think about that as well. And then the third thing I want to ask you to write down is the value I most admire in others is... The value. You might write a number of values. And with that, I'm going to explain a little bit what that has to do with this. I'm going to make a continuum here, and I'm going to say basically what we're talking about a bit is whether your vision is perceiving that birth is an experience that has a lot of complication and possibility of going wrong, and basically it's a fear-based image that birth is a dangerous thing. And that's going to put you over on what I call the biomedical side. Okay? If your vision is more that this is a physiological, natural process, that yes, complications happen, but they're very rare. And in most cases, we can just trust that the body knows what it's doing. Then we're going to be more on the holistic or natural alternative side. So depending on how you answer these questions, your choice of words that was a kind of like, you know, not even a conscious thing, it just what came to mind for you. By looking at those words, we're going to be able to understand if you're basically more on this side or this side of the spectrum. Giving birth is, if the answers are very mechanical, if they're more technical, basically you see birth as a physical, mental experience. You need to learn how to do it. It's work for your body. It's basically something that comes from that part of yourself that makes it happen. And you'll use words like giving birth is painful. It's an effort. It's a process. It's a challenge. It's complex. It's unknown. All those things will be answers that are basically on this side. If, on the other hand, you said giving birth is more of an emotional or a spiritual experience, you'll say it's a gift, it's a connection, it's sacred, it's being in the mystery, in the magic of what Mother Earth, or terms like that. You'll have more of those kinds of vocabulary, and that will kind of put you more on that side. So when we talk about what you need to feel confident, Oftentimes, if your answer is more, I need predictability, I need consistency, I need hierarchy where there are protocols and things in place in case something happens. I need order, I need follow-up, I need security, and those kinds of their actual values, you'll find more on this side because you feel that you need those things in order to have a safe birth and a positive birth experience. Whereas if you're saying that it's more on this side, what you need is autonomy and respect for what makes me an individual, or affection and accompaniment and privacy and intimacy. Those kinds of answers will put you more on this side. And the last one about values, again, what do you value? And if empathy is your strongest thing, it's probably going to be over here. If authority and strength and those kinds of things are more what you value in people, you're going to be over here. So what does it have to do with all of this? Basically, when I talk about bringing you more in the middle, it's like obviously left and right hemisphere of the brain, air and earth. There's so many ways to divide this up, yin yang, however you want to put it, male, female, etc. We obviously need a little bit of both. So if you are way over here, I'm going to recommend you do grounding exercises and get information and things that also bring you a little bit more to having these kinds of values in place. The same if you're basically have the vision that it is something where it's likely to go wrong, we need to get you more over to the reality of seeing birth as this amazing transformative experience that oftentimes is not a matter of fear, but it's a matter of love. And so that's the work of whoever is being a part of your preparation period, to help you, first of all, know where you are at so that they can help you kind of reach a more balanced perspective. So I would recommend that at the beginning. So that's what I mean by know where you're at. And then when I say it's not all about you, with all respect, it's that sometimes information will make us feel that we therefore have to take that information and act upon it. So, for example, one of the places where we hope to have the information be a positive by saying that at week 32 to 34, it would be good if your baby is in a cephalic head-down position, and if not, if the baby's posterior or breech, we need to do exercises. That's giving you information, but often what it does, it makes you feel that if the baby isn't in an optimal position, that we didn't do enough of those exercises or we didn't act upon it. And actually, the baby chooses a lot of things that have nothing to do with what we know or don't know. We didn't used to have to know every single thing that was going on. We kind of just trusted that if the baby was in that position, it's because the baby found that position most comfortable. And if the baby isn't in an optimal position at the beginning of labor, well, maybe with my body, it is a good position. Maybe for another woman, it wouldn't be. But why are we assuming that this is going to be a problem? So it's intellectualizing. It's needing to know too much, actually. So there are a lot of mixed messages we give out. Trust your body. And at the same time, we say, but if your body isn't doing it well enough, then you need to do something about it. And I disagree with that way of seeing things. I really do believe that just enjoy your pregnancy, let the baby choose his position. Ultimately, yes, there are positions you can use that could facilitate better positions, but don't worry about it. And during labor, feel free to express yourself with movement in a way that probably your baby is actually telling you that this movement would be best for me, this position helps me a little bit more. It's that connection that you have with your baby, and trust that instead of needing to read a lot of books and get a lot of advice. In the prenatal period, when I say take it seriously, there's so much you can do to what I call create spaces in your life for this baby to therefore be born and come into those spaces and fill your life with his or her presence. A lot of what we do in the prenatal period is to create that connection, make it stronger, talk to your baby, be with your baby, feel your baby, and notice that your body is giving you many sensations that are ways of feeling that connection and knowing what your body and your baby are telling you. And I think it's more about, yes, getting certain information, understanding if your perception is not balanced, getting the skills you need to feel more confident and to feel more relaxed and trust, working on trusting in those spaces of communion. I think that is the best possible way to prepare for a birth, where if you could be open to just letting it be, trust that it will be just the way it needs to be. Try not to make it have to be perfect. Whatever it is, be the best person you could be within those circumstances and enjoy it. Please enjoy it. It can be an amazing thing, and a lot of it being amazing is the expectation you have about it. So let's work on making a more realistic expectation. Let's work on trying to have a balanced perception. Let's work on creating spaces of connection and peace and openness, letting it flow, getting the skills we need in order to make that happen, and not forget the joy of what you're living right now. There's so much you can do, and it's an amazing opportunity in your lives to learn life lessons that will last a lifetime and that you'll be able to use in the way you parent as an example for this beautiful child that's soon to be born. So thank you so much for listening. These are just a few pointers. I hope it's been helpful.